I'm back at the camper, and I got a new gift. I got a gift in the mail. It's not a gift. I ordered these, but they came in the mail today, so I'm pretty excited. I'm going to share with you. There's some lures that are kind of legendary for striped bass over at Raystown Lake, and I've been kind of keeping my ear to the ground for when a good deal would come up, and so one did, and I managed to close this deal on a nice case full of Big Macs. So here's a quick look at them. These are a couple that I got. I think there's 9 in all. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 of them in all. And I'm going to actually talk to my buddy Brian about doing some paint work for him and kind of restore them to the factory original paints. I'm curious about one of my hesitations with buying vintage lures or used lures just in general is that you don't know how they were treated. That doesn't mean how they were fished either. It means how they were stored. So if you get lures too hot, they can warp, and it can just affect the way that the action of the lure actually, the way it moves, can be affected by that stuff. So there's always a gamble is what I'm saying. So we have this case full of vintage Big Mac lures, and we're going to take them out and we're going to see how they swim. This is of course a springtime thing, but I'm too excited to just wait till springtime. I want to tell you guys about it and share my joy with you. But I think I do want to talk to Brian because I would love to include him in this. I think he'd enjoy putting some of his paint on some vintage Big Mac lures, and he has a little experience doing that. And anyways, I'm excited to include my friends in all the exciting stuff I have going on, so why not? Good morning. I'm just hanging out here at the camper. I want to do a dock update with you. Honestly, I don't want to go to the dock to do it. I was just out yesterday doing some crappie fishing with some pals. Maybe you saw my post on Facebook. So connect with me on Facebook, and I do a lot of talking about fishing conditions at Raystown Lake. It's like an ongoing conversation too. So it's not just what the water looks like, it's where the fish are holding and such. And I have a lot of information because you guys know that every day you spend on the water, you learn something. So every day that I'm out there, I'm learning, and it's a system that's constantly changing, so the information is always different and new. So make sure you follow me on Facebook. Of course, you can watch these dock updates, but they're a little bit less timely, if you will. But you can always shoot me a text message. My phone number is available on my website, randallrydes.com. Thank you guys for visiting the website. The lure sales are doing really good, and of course, book a charter with me. If nothing else, follow the Amazon affiliate links on my YouTube page, and when you do your shopping, that's the way you can support my channel. But thank you. You guys are doing all that. Maybe I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but let me show you a couple of these Big Macs in detail. I've got a couple cool ones, and really they're not in terrible shape. They're really not in terrible shape. So when I look at the lures, I like to see their hooks, to see what the hooks look like, and I'm kind of torn on that. Whether you want to see some old rusted hooks, that means that these hooks have just been on there forever and nobody really used the lure, it's just been sitting around, hopefully in good storage. Or you want to see some new hooks, some quality hooks on it, which means somebody maybe was taking care of it. So the truth is, you can see the wear and tear on these lures where the hooks swing up and kind of scratch the body of these lures, of the body of the lure, and that's an indication. It's an indicator, of course, that it's being used, that it has a history of actually being fished. So it's all like plus and minuses and such. These lures, though, they're actually in pretty decent shape. There's quite a few scuffs on 1 or 2 of them. It's like I got the whole gamut here with them. Some of them are rough and some of them are near pristine. So I think I did good on this deal. But the question is whether or not they swim right. So when you heat lures up, or when you abuse them in storage and stuff, it can really affect their buoyancy. So I don't know, maybe you guys have some of these Big Macs, and they make Big Macs and Little Macs. So we wanted the Big Macs. These are 7-inch lures, Specifically, I'm looking to pull these behind the boards and target striper with them. And I will do a video on this in the spring with you. So I'm pretty excited about this little project, and we got a couple weeks to do it. But let me tell you a little bit about yesterday while we're reminiscing over these cool vintage Big Mac lures. Why don't I talk a little bit about yesterday's, and so Tuesday and Wednesday I went out. So let me tell you guys a little bit about the fishing trip that essentially took 2 days. On Tuesday, well, let me rewind a little bit. On Monday, we had our live stream. And on the live stream, I did a whole like map breakdown with you. And what I wanted to do then on Tuesday is go out and actually do a follow-up, if you will. So I went out to those places we kind of discussed, and I looked around. And I'm happy to report that 2 of the places there around Trough Creek that I had broke down in the map section. So when we did the James Creek section, 2 of the places that I had broke down and said that would actually be a good spot to check, 2 of those places that I recommended were actually holding fish. And I'm suspicious that they were walleye in both cases. The depth was right, the body size was right. I only cast a little bit for them. Honestly, I was more interested in searching and looking than I was fishing, and because I wanted to kind of prove my theory. So I ran a bunch of the lake, spent a lot of time looking, and I can tell you that the fish seemed to be holding, most of them were holding around that 40 to 45 foot depth. Some of them as far down as 55 foot if they're on the bottom. 55 foot, but if they were like up in the trees or they were trying to find breaks to hang off of, it seemed like 45 to 50 was the kind of like the sweet spot, but not much variation. You guys see, so anywhere 45 to 55, that's 10 foot of difference. Think about how far 10 foot is. You know, that's not much further than, you know, your span. You put your arms from side to side, that's about 6 feet. So just a little bit further than that. You know, it's not very far for a fish to travel is what I'm saying. So that band of water temperature is probably just about right. Just in that little band right there around Trough Creek, about 45 to 55 foot is where you should be targeting. So if you guys are going out this time of year, which is going to get a little bit dicey, I told you these last 2 days were going to be the last 2 like prime days to go fishing, but we're bound to get like a 50-degree day here. We always seem to every month. So if you guys get out there within the next week or so, I would still target that 45 to 55 depth. So that's the whole collection of Big Macs, and gentlemen, I'm pretty excited. Ooh, that's a little hot. So I think I have a favorite 1 or 2, and you guys, I want you to know, I want you guys to tell me what you guys think of the color. But I'll start with I'll do a couple here. I don't know which one's gonna be the best, but I think I love this trout pattern. I think I really love that. It's got a nice pink, bright body kind of. So I think that one is going to be great. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I am a huge fan of the color gold. And I think that gold and black together is an incredible color for such a multitude of species. But I love to run this color. I guarantee you that I'm going to put these Big Macs on whenever I go up to Lake Erie as well, because that gold color is just beautiful. And I don't know what they did there. It seems like that's nail polish, like a red blotch on the side. It's like an injured fish. See, it's not on the other side. It looks to me like it probably got scuffed by the hook, scratching it there. Probably just opened it all up, and then they tried to make good of a bad situation by making it like an injured fish. It's kind of interesting. Like, you can kind of read the history of these old lures, and I have 2 more that I want to show you. One is like this mackerel kind of color. Look at that front hook. Look how daggerish those things look. Do you see them? It's wild hooks. Don't think I'm a fan of those. the throat, the throat of the hook is choked out with you got that kink in there. So I don't know if I'm really a fan of that hook, but I'll probably replace most of the hardware on these. But I like this color. I think that's a good one too. And then the other one that I think, man, I think I just love them all. But of course this one right here is kind of the clown color going on. Kind of your, just clown colors, And then I have another gold one here, and this one's super high gloss gold and then oranged back. I like that one a lot. And then I have three of these orange ones. And honestly, you can actually take these 3 orange ones and lay them out kind of like this. And you can see the wear and tear, kind of the age, the patina, if you will. Whereas that top one, still really fresh. The bottom one is it just looks like the bottom one is tired, And the bottom one actually looks like it's got some bubbling on the paint. Whatever. I'll make do with what I got. But I'm excited about all of these, about doing something with them. But ultimately, it's up to Brian whether he wants to paint them and such. Guys, I could honestly run these lures just like they are. There's nothing wrong with them. You guys know that you run lures that are in rough shape. You maybe even worse than these. And I do too. So I know they'll work. So why Big Macs? I want to drag these through the water to know for sure, but the research I've done says there's a couple reasons why these work. One of them is, of course, because of the profile size. The profile size that is important for striper because that's what they eat. They don't get that big because they don't eat. A fish that's that as large as a striper, you get into those 20 to 30 pound class fish, they get that big because they consume protein. So you got to eat. And it's better for them if they chase larger meals and expend that energy on a large meal as opposed to a small meal. So mostly I think that's why the profile size is so important. Even with live bait, you guys can take this as a little tip. The ideal size for live bait is anywhere between 7 to 9 inches. The issue is, I think that's the opinion that I've come to, and there's reasons to run bigger, there's reasons to run smaller, but general bait size, I would say 7 to 9 inches. Now the law here in Pennsylvania is it has to be 8 inches or less, which is frustrating. So what you end up with is a lot of guys that'll be running smaller baits than would be ideal. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the fact of it. I can tell you in places that are less regulated, they'll run massive shad and massive alewife, big baits. I've even seen gentlemen using trout up to 18 inches to go fishing for striper. An 18-inch trout for bait. It's wild. I can't even imagine. I could see 12 inches. I could see that. I think that's very real. When you start getting more than that, it seems to be like, wow, what am I doing here? But I've seen it, guys, running them big baits, and it's pretty amazing, and it's inspiring in some way. We ended up, there was a gentleman I just started talking to. He's got a John boat, and guys, he's got a cool little vintage John boat setup. An ancient engine on it. He's got a YouTube too. I'll link him. His name's Phil. It's called Raystown River Adventures, but I'll link him so you guys can follow him. He's got a couple videos he's been putting together. Let's support him. Let's see if we can't blow it up. I'll do it on the live too. We'll try and support my new friend, my new YouTube friend, Phil, and Raystown River Adventures. Good dude, but he's got this cool little vintage John boat that he put a vintage outboard on. I think it's like a 5-horse Evinrude, and he's out there fishing. Anyways, I ran into him out there and I said, hey man, why don't you hop in my boat and let's buzz down the lake and we'll go chase some crappie. So he's familiar with the crappie fishing game, and so anyways, he hopped on the boat. We went out there, and his buddy was actually out there fishing with them. So we all kind of gathered up. We went and we caught some crappie together, and we had just a wonderful day. You guys might have seen some of the pictures and such. So I didn't video any of that. I just went fishing with some friends, and Raystown Lake is the place to do that. I learned a lot, and it's amazing how I've caught thousands of crappie and yet I go fishing with these guys, and I just learn so much every time I'm out. I live a blessed life because I'm surrounded by such good fishermen, and I get to do what I love for a living. But anyways, I could go on a rant about that. But the water conditions were still just they were very consistent. That depth of 40 to 45 foot, it served not just for your larger bodied predator fish like your bass and your walleye, but also your crappie. We found crappie holding in the trees, and this is something I'll say about the crappie fishing that we were doing down there, is it seemed like if you found a cluster of trees, and if you can't find trees at Raystown Lake, I don't know what to tell you. So there's a lot of trees all over the place, and I would tell you anywhere from the Entrecon Bridge up to James Creek, that whole area through there, if you just find some trees and just kind of scan along through them, you're going to find one tree that has all the crappie on it. It's a schooling fish, and so when they find each other, they tend to stay with each other, and they kind of collect there. And right now they're holding right around 40 to 45 feet. So just drive along with your electronics, look at a lot of treetops in that depth. So the treetop needs to be sitting in 40 to 55 feet, and you're going to just find a mass ball just kind of hanging in there. It's going to look like a bait ball, but it's going to be inside the tree. And if you're not too familiar with what crappie look like, just look for what looks like a bait ball, but it's inside a tree. So they're going to hold on to branches this time of year, and there's reasons for that. But if that helps you kind of target them a little bit better, hopefully it does. Go over, spot lock right on them, and drop your line down. Something real light, real small jigs, some lightweight stuff, minnow, worm, or whatever you choose. What you want to try and target those crappie with. Go through your crappie tackle box with them and see what's working best. But the point is, that's where you'll find them. And guys, can I say this again? And this is a tough lesson to get, I know. It took me years to really believe it. But once you've found the fish, don't leave them to find more fish. It's like there's a list of things you have to do to be successful on this lake. And the first thing you have to do is find fish. Once you've done that, move on to step 2. And that's figuring out how to catch them. And you're going to work through your colors, you're going to work through your presentation, whether it's a snapping kind of jig presentation or something you're just dead sticking. And there's never any real dead stick, because I'm telling you guys, if you're standing on the boat holding that rod perfectly still, your lure down there is still doing this right here. You cannot hold it still because you're on a boat, you're on the water, just your hand is shaking holding the pole. So you cannot hold a perfect dead stick. So just hang it and try to hold it perfectly still. You cannot do it. And right now, that was the presentation that was working for these crappie. And we managed to put a couple in the boat, had a great time. Alan did the bulk of the catching for us. So tip of the hat to a crappie fishing master. And he would laugh if he heard me say that. He's just a guy fishing out there, but he loves chasing crappie, and he keeps his gear right for them. And I'll just say it, I was just blessed to be able to ride along for the day and do a little fishing with them. So that's it. That's your dock update. Ice fishing's coming up, guys. Get your ice fishing gear ready. I do have a buddy who's saying he's going to take me ice fishing this year, so maybe we'll get a video out of it. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Much love. Much respect. See ya.